everybody, and welcome back to the show. I am super excited because we are out of the studio today in downtown Chico. I am sitting here with Mahina Gannet. She is one of the 3 owners of Mahina Restaurant, and she is also the manager at the Big Room for Sierra Nevada Brewery. So I'm super excited to get to chat with her today. Hi Mahina, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So would you be able to tell me a little background about the restaurant that we're in right now, just to kind of get started, maybe a little bit about how you wound up here?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is Mahina, and 2 friends and I, we're going to be in our 3rd year this September.
Congrats.
Thank you very much. We're very proud of that. We just, wanted something different in Chico. We really, my family is Hawaiian, and I really missed ramen and bao and poke bowls, and I started talking with a good friend of mine, Sarah Schlobaum, who's now my business partner as well, and she is a chef, and we just started playing around with recipes, and somehow 6 months later, everything kind of fell together, and we were able to purchase another restaurant that used to be in this location, and which was Spice Creek, and somehow we're still here 3 years later. Yeah, so it's been a roller coaster, but it's been a really amazing experience as well. So. And
what were some of the challenges for that? What were some most pretty trying moments?
Yeah, it's we sort of did it on a shoestring budget, so dialing in our financials, making sure that we were sustainable. From an economical point of view is really the biggest challenge. And this was all of our first time owning a restaurant. And so just sort of learning as we were going, the differences, what Chico wanted and what our customers were enjoying, and just sort of paying attention to the feedback and trying to basically, sort of ebb and flow with what we were feeling was working and not working. And now we are here, in our almost 3rd year, and I think we finally kind of dialed it in to where our customers are happy, we're happy, the operations work. So, fingers crossed we keep going.
Yeah, good. That's great stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as, so I understand that, obviously you have this restaurant that you're kind of, managing and seeing over, but also Sierra Nevada Big Room, what's going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually spent the last 12 years in the music industry. My first job out of college, I worked for a concert promoter in New York. I graduated from New York University, and I've just sort of been a freelance contractor in the music industry since then. It kind of just, leveraged a career for me that I wasn't really expecting, which was really amazing. And I ended up on the artist side and was touring with bands as a production coordinator and a tour manager for a really long time, and ended up meeting my boyfriend on tour. We worked both for the same band, and I had moved to California from northern New Jersey, and he invited me to Chico, and then I never left, and I just love this town so much. I was working and touring, doing the restaurant and kind of filling things in as I was going along, and I found out about the job at the brewery, which I've only been at actually for 6 months now. And so when the job kind of popped up, the description was music, food, and entertainment, and I was like, well, that kind of just sums up everything that I do, and it's in Chico, which is a really hard thing to do, to find a job that especially understood my resume in Chico. Perfect. Yeah, so thankfully I was able to get the position, and I'm still being able to do music, but be staying here in Chico and not traveling for 9-10 months out of the year. It's a really amazing opportunity for me.
So what kind of support system do you have behind you? It seems like you're very driven. You kind of see what you want and go after it.
Yeah, I have a great family. I'm very, very lucky. My parents are amazing. My dad's from Brooklyn, New York, and he kind of he's a son of an entrepreneur. He's the grandson of an entrepreneur. So the entrepreneurial spirit kind of ran in my family, and he taught my brothers and I, as well as my mom, that hard work and that drive, it can pay off if you really want to go for it. And so, he was a huge influence for me, and my mom as well. She worked for the airline industry her whole life, and so she was a flight attendant for a really long time, and then she was working on the ground in airports for a really long time. And I just, I watched my parents just work so hard for my brothers and I, and that work ethic definitely was instilled in me in a really young age. And so, my family is a huge support system for me. And then as well as now my boyfriend and his family are so wonderful. My boyfriend and I have a daughter as well. And so, having his family here in Chico is invaluable for us, and to be able to take care of her and then do all the things that we love to do. So,
wow, that's great. And it's so nice that you have that support system behind you. You have people to fall back on, people who are there for you. That's definitely super important. Have there been any failures, any lows where you kind of have had to pick yourself up or overcome a certain struggle? And
yeah, absolutely. It wasn't an easy road getting to where I am now. Self-doubt and unsure if the path I was taking was ever, I don't think I ever really knew where I was going. I just knew what I wanted, and I always made decisions, based off of, did it make me happy? And I think that was a really important question I kept asking myself, because there was a lot of times whether a job didn't work out, and being a freelance independent contractor, you're taking so many different jobs and you're working for so many different employers and with different personalities on such a constant basis. And so there's a lot of festivals that I worked where, tears were shed.
Yeah.
And it was tough. But I think that it was all building blocks for character, and it helped make me decide who I wanted to work for and who was worth my time, because I think that's really important. Once you realize what you're good at, you should work for people that value you, and that's really what helped me in those situations where I didn't like what was happening around me, and so I chose to move from that. And I think that was really a good learning experience every time that was a little bit difficult. So
yeah. That's awesome. I think that's super important too. Like you said, you need to be happy with what you're doing.
Yes.
And kind of, I feel like you're definitely following your heart.
Yes.
Like
definitely.
what feels right, and doing what makes you feel happy, and where you don't feel appreciated, it's important to kind of not be there.
Yeah, I think one of the best lessons my mom ever taught me was self-worth and self-love. And I always kind of took that with me, that I knew I was important, and that if I wasn't being valued, then it wasn't making me happy. And if it wasn't making me happy, life's too short. I also learned that at a very young age, that life is very short, and that if you spend time doing things that you don't like doing, you never know what tomorrow holds. So you might as well just be happy in this moment and love what you're doing every day. So
I think that's great advice. Way to go, Mom.
yeah, mom's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a super important, thing to know and lesson to have, and understand that, we're important and our happiness is important too. And how can we use that to contribute to the greater good?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are some key qualities you think, I'm kind of maybe put you on the spot a little bit here, but what qualities in yourself do you find most valuable for what you do, and what goals you go after and achieve?
That's a good question. I think the qualities that I always kind of strive for in when I'm doing anything is a sense of calmness. I really think that, again, it kind of goes back to that sort of that state of happiness. As I try it's not to say that I don't get frazzled, because I do get frazzled, but my goal is to kind of always be able to take a deep breath. And I think that moment of taking a deep breath allows me to make a better decision, and be being active versus reactionary. Definitely is a thought in my head at all times. And then, also having a confidence about myself. I think that's always a good thing to go back to as well. And kind of what I'm trying to do is that I remember sort of early on in my career, someone sort of threw me into this like very big production meeting, and they're just, Mahina, go for it, you know, and I just sort of stood tall and said the information that I knew, and everybody sort of dissipated, and you know, my mentor looked back at me and was like, good job. And it was all I did was just sort of present myself in a fashion that I was confident, and I didn't know what I was doing. So that's something else that I kind of strive for. And then also having an element of kindness in everything that I do as well, in my communication strategy. And you know, again, in the music industry and in the food industry, you interact with so many different people. And if you sort of lead with that foot of kindness, of knowing that everybody's walking a different path in life, and you never know kind of where they're coming from. That, again, I'm not always good at this.
Right.
Yeah, these are things that I sort of think about, you know, when I'm doing and managing and trying to move forward, so that hopefully I represent myself in the way that I would like to. So.
You know what's awesome is you just made those super easy for me to remember. It's calmness, confidence, kindness, and communication.
Yeah. There you go.
Now I can take that with me, because definitely, I mean, calmness, that's a tough one. I do tend to get frazzled. And you're right, that's important. And especially being proactive and not so reactive with things. Those are super important, you know, for all aspects, whether it be business, friendships, relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. I really hold true to the, I really feel that I am who I am in my work life, the exact same as I am in my personal life. I don't believe, like I saw a lot of people in my career that they would sort of flip a switch and be super different. And I never understood that, because to me, you are who you are, and if you're not sort of showing that true self, especially in a work environment, then it can't really be sustainable or a good representation of who you're trying to put out there. So, yeah, absolutely, it's a personal goal and a professional goal simultaneously. So
yeah, and that's neat. Kind of just always staying true to who you are, and not really wavering or changing to kind of fit. I know that especially in today's society, you know, we're kind of put to be in a certain box, or people might expect you to be a certain way when they meet you or act a certain way. But I think that you can tell when someone is who they are.
Yeah, that genuineness it goes a long way.
Yeah.
I feel, so
when you're true, and I feel like you make better connections that way with people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's I've my first friend that I made in the music industry, actually the person who got me my first internship, I'm still friends with to this day, you know, and he's gone on to be extremely successful. He is the owner and runs a concert promoter that they do Governor's Ball in New York City, which is a massive music festival. And, you know, he's someone I really genuinely care about, and the fact that I still have these relationships through all these years, even though we live 3,000 miles apart and see each other maybe once a year, you know, it's a good testament, I feel, to the work that I was doing, and then the friendship that I built along the way.
And how important to you are, I know you said you've been quite a few places in New York, New Jersey, Hawaii, California. How do you maintain those friendships and stay in contact, and what are the importance of those to you?
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's also a lifestyle choice. You know, like I said, I was touring for, almost 7 years. I'd probably still be touring if I didn't get this job at the brewery. And we traveled all over the world. I mean, we were doing international tours, you know, that were anywhere from a year to 2 years long, and you make a ton of friends along the way. And it's also, you know, you think the music industry is this massive place, but it's quite a small community, you know, so you start to see the same people over and over. And, you know, I would run into a friend that I had from California in, you know, London, you know, just because we're both sort of on that traveling circuit. You know, technology really helps keep you in touch with people. I mean, and then also my boyfriend is still a touring professional, and so he's still in contact, you know, on a pretty regular basis with a lot of our friends, and so it helps keep me in touch with people too, which is really helpful and nice, because I do miss my friends a lot. You know, it's hard not. You build a community of friends out on the road, and then, you know, so. But I think the people that are important will always be there.
And what advice do you have, or if you could give some key pieces of advice to any young women who are interested in kind of pursuing a similar route to you, whether it be owning a business, whatever that may be, or in the music industry? I know a lot of people are interested in that. What advice could you share with us or give to young women who are interested in that?
Yeah, there's so many things, but
List them.
yeah, right. No, I think again the best sort of a thing that I took as someone coming up in the industry, and not even necessarily knowing that I wanted to stay in the industry or anything like that, but having entrepreneurial goals is, I guess, don't be afraid to put in the hard work. You know, it's not easy. None of this was cakewalk by any means. You know, it took, and I'm just the type of person that's my personality. I like working. I like being out there doing things. I'm not good at doing a job that doesn't require, like, you know, I had an internship, I remember, in my sophomore year of college, working for an accounting firm where I was just sitting at a desk all day, and I almost lost my mind, you know, like I was just one of those things where it was like 6 months and done. Like I knew that about my personality, that I liked to be active and moving. Yeah. But again, it's a lot of hard work, and so definitely not being afraid of that, and sort of relishing in the work, and you know, and getting it done, not being too precious about it, you know. I mean, I was really willing to get my hands dirty and do anything, you know. If someone needed a cup of coffee, like, it was going to be the fastest cup of coffee that they ever got, you know. Like, I really took pride in everything that I was doing, and I think that's a really important lesson. Like, a lot of people don't, they don't want to do work, and that it takes a lot of work to open a business. Is not easy, you know. And again, some people prefer more of a cut and dry Monday through Friday 9 to 5, where work is very designated, and work sort of infiltrated my life all the time. You know, I was constantly checking emails and making sure I was staying on top of things, but that was just what I liked doing. It was very sort of normal for me. But yeah, so that would be a huge piece of advice, and I guess, you know, just keep going for it. Like, don't let people tell you no. You know, if someone tells you no, figure out a way around it. I mean, or you know, and use your brain. Like, be smart about things. Like, I think that's, someone told me a long time ago to use my brain, and it stuck. You know, it's one of those things where in the moment you're like, oh yeah, I just need to think about this, and and just stop again, sort of take a deep breath. Use that brain that we all have, that, you know, we're smart humans, and we're capable of a lot. And I think once you realize that, you can do more than you realize. Yeah,
and I can definitely agree with that. I think what my boss and I call it getting creative. If there's use your, like you're saying, use your brain. It's if there's an obstacle, or if this isn't going to work this way, then you get creative. You work around it. You make it happen. You use your resources. You figure it out.
Yes, absolutely. And that's it. Figure it out, you know. And, you know, I kind of got told, people on the East Coast have a much harsher way of telling you these things. It's not as nice as California. But I kind of appreciated that too. You know, I had another boss that she yelled at me, and she was like, just figure it out. And I was like, oh, and it was over the radio too, so everybody heard it. And it was one of those things where I could have taken that and been really, you know, hurt by it, but then you just figure it out and make it happen. So
and tumbling off of that, I think also taking things not so personal.
Yes, not being too precious about things. Yeah, having that thick skin is, the world's not a real nice place. It has a tendency not to be, and it can be really defeating, I think, especially for young women. And it doesn't have to be. You just sort of have to take it and not take it so personal. I think really differentiating emotions versus logic is really, you know, I know it's something that it's easier for me because I'm not that emotional of a person, but I think, you know, if other women are more emotional, that it's a harder lesson, but it really is important to be able to sort of separate the two, to be able to do your job and get to a professional level where you feel confident and know that your decisions are logic based. So
yeah. And using mistakes that you've made, or using any criticism as constructive criticism, just always coming back better the next time around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not personal. It's just about improving and being good at whatever you want to do.
Yeah, being the best version of you, and doing the best job that you can, you're capable of.
Yes, exactly.
I think those are some great takeaways. You know, just thinking things through, getting creative with it, working hard and doing what you love.
Yes.
It sounds like that's a big piece of what has gotten you where you are. Just you love what you do. You're passionate about what you do. And I think when you have that passion, you're willing to work hard and make it happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun things out there, and it's just a matter of deciding, like, what fun thing do I want to spend my time on, and going for it.
Is there anything that you could see yourself doing that, besides what you're doing now, was there any other way, or is it just this is the one?
No, I don't think this is the end all be all, you know. You never know what life's going to throw you. I love and I'm super thankful for what I have right now, and I hope it continues for a while. But, you know, I always have little dreams and things that I think about and different businesses I could open, and you know,
Always thinking.
Yeah, always thinking, you know, just anything could happen. Tomorrow's a new day. You never know. So maybe one day I'll just be a gardener and get to just hang out with plants all day. I had a stint where I was volunteering on farms for a lot of time, and I love being outdoors and working on farms. So it's always in the back of my head. Maybe I'll just start homesteading one day. Have lots of plants and animals. Hopefully
I love all the plants around you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, it's my indoor plants are what's keeping me happy right now. So hopefully I'll just have the financial stability to afford that one.
So in your spare time, is that something that you dabble in, gardening? Or
yeah, I do love gardening. Since having a baby, my daughter's only 8 months old.
So, congrats!
Thank you. Yeah, so it's been that's been my primary hobby currently, that and my restaurant. But yeah, no, I love gardening and exercising. I really love yoga and running. My family's all a bunch of runners, so yeah, yeah, it's a good activity.
Good stuff. Well, I mean, I think you are just a well of knowledge. We have lots of great advice, and I think it's super inspiring that you know you are who you are, and you're making happen exactly what you want, and you're not afraid to put in that work. And I think that's super rad. Awesome. And we're very appreciative to have you on the show.
Oh, happy to be here.
And thanks again for letting us be in your awesome space.
Yeah.
If anybody hasn't been to Momona downtown, you need to go. I didn't tell you this yet, but actually I am a super huge fan of the restaurant.
Awesome.
I come here quite frequently, and it's delicious. I'm not just saying that because she's sitting right here. It's delicious.
Yes, it's good food.
It's good food. It's great food.
You should try our shave ice. We got new shave ice now too. Hawaiian, or like very traditional Hawaiian shave ice. So
good to know.
Yes, for the summertime. So
yeah, that's great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Super appreciate it, and it was great meeting you.
Likewise.